Hey, what's up, YouTube? Here with another video, and today I'm pretty much here to just talk about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, spread the gospel, if you will. If you've heard, if you've been around the block, this game has been getting a lot of rave reviews, a lot of critical acclaim, and I am inclined to agree completely, fully. It might be one of the best games I've ever played in my entire life. Like, I have no qualms in saying that, and I haven't even gotten that far into the main story. So let's just jump into it, right? I just want to talk about the game. Why is the game so good? I think the biggest aspect of it is to simplify it. Imagine Skyrim, right? Take Skyrim, or maybe the blueprint of a Bethesda game, right? Where the idea of it is you're you get put in a world, and it's about sort of making your own story, right? Like, how are you gonna go about playing the game, fighting people? Are you gonna take a head-on approach, stealthy? There's choices in the story and in quest lines, right? Maybe those will lead to different outcomes, and there's systems in place, like in the world, to try to make it feel like you're an inhabitant, right? So if you steal from people, like, the guards will come after you, you'll get put fine, there's fines, yada yada, right? Imagine that, but like, instead of every mechanic being skin deep and surface level like it is in Skyrim, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I like Skyrim a lot. Imagine if all of the mechanics were as fleshed out and polished as something like Baldur's Gate 3. I can't really speak on the game's story because I honestly haven't gotten that far, but I do have a lot of hours on this game, and I can confidently say that the writing is impeccable. I think the biggest thing is the confidence to make characters be witty and be funny in an organic way that's not corny, for lack of a better term, right? People always parrot, oh, he's right behind me, isn't he? Right? Like that sort of cringe dialogue. I think it's hard to make comedy in games or in writing in general because the line between what is funny, what is cringe, it's very fine. It's a very thin line, right? Especially because we oftentimes talk with like a sort of irony, like people have sarcasm and shit like that, and it could be hard to really convey the very specific machinations of how a real life conversation would go with a real life human. But few games they're able to figure it out, and generally games like this are often very narrative focused but like linear. So like Naughty Dog games like Uncharted, The Last of Us, right? And there are games with good writing, like like your Dragon Ages, your Baldur's Gates. What I'm trying to get at is writing that is this good. It doesn't come around that often, right? Especially for video games. And it's not just the quality, it's the quantity, right? Every single person you talk to is fun to talk to. Every single person you talk to feels like a believable person. A lot of the NPCs are unique NPCs, right? I think the good thing about the writing is it makes these characters feel believable, makes them feel like they're lived in, like they live in this world beyond the fact of they eat and sleep at specific times, right? These people have jobs. Just through the dialogue and speaking to these people, you can get an attachment to them. But the attachment isn't like, oh, all of a sudden this guy's your best friend or anything, but you just know them. Like, you just know this guy, and maybe, you'll come to like him, maybe you don't. But also the voice acting, especially for the main character Henry. I just love his voice. Like, I just love hearing him talk. But a lot of the voice acting, because it's all in like medieval times, like everyone certain talks in this sort of, yeah, like sort of like Ireland twang, like medieval sort of way, and all the voice acting is great, and it really complements the game's writing. I'm not a writer, and when I play games, my favorite aspect of them is the gameplay, right? My favorite kinds of games are generally the fast paced action games. But even I can tell that a game being written this well does not happen a lot. The only other games that I think even have writing this good is New Vegas, Baldur's Gate 3. Like, again, because we're talking about quantity with the quality, right? Because it's not that games don't have good writing and good stories. Obviously, there's plenty of games, but how many open world RPGs have the writing chops to actually make an open world and its inhabitants feel like more than just NPCs that you fuck around with? I think that is more challenging than doing it in a linear game. And this game fucking blows it out of the park. But okay, whatever. Let's talk about the quests. Every quest in this game is as in depth as a main quest in a way. Maybe not like the reward you get, like how much it impacts the story. Not in that sense, but in the sense that like any quest that is a quest generally is not you go to the markers, you kill a guy, you come back, you talk to the guy. That might be step one, but then step two will be figuring out, oh, who was this guy? And then you go to figure that out, which might lead to a different part, which might lead to a different part. A lot of the quests are multifaceted, even if at the beginning it like seems like it's gonna be very straightforward. And what this makes it the game and this just makes the game more interesting. It makes it more interesting to play, like what is gonna happen? Who am I gonna see? What is this quest gonna lead me down, right? I think a good thing about the quest is they do a good job of having you go from location to location, but a lot of these locations, there's more going on than just the quest at hand, right? So you'll be given a quest to go somewhere, to talk to someone, and then that person you talk to might have the information you need, but he might also have a new quest, which might lead you to a different quest, which might lead you to talk to a bunch of different people, and then by the time you finish everyone's quest, you might get to the main story, and then someone that you've talked to in a side quest comes up in the main story. And in a situation where maybe they were going to meet you for the first time, they go, oh, Henry, I know you, blah, 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 right? The way the quests are designed, I think they're really interesting. Some of them are you're gonna have to think outside the box. Like the not every quest is follow the objective marker. A lot of them are, and a lot of them are just variations of that. But some of them there won't be a quest marker, and you have to figure it out. Like, and if you don't cheat, you might have to think outside the box a little bit, you know? But the game also allows you to solve the quests in a lot of multiple ways, which, you know, talking about the gameplay. The thing about a game like this, right, is as someone who, when looking at a game, always focuses on or likes to focus in on the gameplay, right? How is the game's mechanics? It can make it harder to judge a game that isn't very mechanical, right? This is almost like a systems based game, less than like a mechanical game, right? It's about the dialogue trees, how you level up your character. You know, like it's sort of about how much can you feel like you're sort of living in this world, like inhabiting this character. All of that is important for an RPG more than how does it feel to swing the sword and hit somebody, right? So that's always a challenge for me. But the thing is, right, for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I think this game really, really knows what it means to be a fun video game and a phenomenal RPG, right? So when it comes to the RPGness, like it really is immersive. Like you have to wash the blood off of you after you kill people, or people will point out, hey, why are you covered in blood? And it won't completely lock you out of the conversation, but it might make the conversation harder. So if there was a skill check, it's gonna be harder to convince them if you got blood all over you, right? The same thing with dirt and poop, right? If you for some reason you ended up in a pile of shit and you don't go to the bath and wash it off, people are gonna be like, ooh, who stinks? There's even perfumes in the game that you can wear that'll up your charisma, but they might make it harder to stealth because people can smell you. Hey, who smells good? It's a game where there's a reputation factor, right? The more you talk to people, do things for everybody, do good things in the world or bad things in the world, there's like a reputation system, right? The higher it is, the easier it is to pass skill checks, and you'll sell gear, at better prices, the typical stuff, right? Lower it is, less people like you, less people want to fuck with you. You can steal pretty much anything, right? It's the type of game where you can talk to somebody, buy something, and then immediately they turn around, you steal all the money back. What I'm trying to get at is from a purely mechanical standpoint, there can be a lot of reasons why maybe it's surface level. Like the combat isn't that good, or maybe certain systems are not as fleshed out. But the gameplay in conjunction with the RPG systems and the world and the immersive aspect, those two combined are what is making this game special. A really hard concept to like describe. But for as much as this game is supposed to be like an immersive game where, you want to take everything seriously, really listen to the things people say, and, not just sort of think of everything as like a mechanical dialogue, stats based sense, right? Because sometimes that's what it can boil down to. As much as I love Skyrim, I'm not playing Skyrim to live and breathe in that world. Most of the time, I'm playing Skyrim to level up my smithing, to level up my enchanting. I'm not playing through the Mage's Guild line because that's a super interesting guild line. I'm playing through it because at the end of it, you get the Archmage's robes, and you'll end up getting a Daedric mask that's really good for magic regeneration. That, Skyrim, it's the mechanical and the RPG, but it's a lot of the mechanical, right? It's a lot of building your character, a lot of that's where the main enjoyment comes from Skyrim. At least in the long term. Your first playthrough, you might feel a certain way about the story. You might like it a certain way, but generally, that is where the staying power of Skyrim comes from. This game has that, in my opinion, with its RPG mechanics, with how you level up your character, but it also has everything else. It has the dialogue, the story, the characters, the systems in like the AI, and how the AI reacts to you when you steal things. To steal things, it's not just about stealing something without the NPC seeing you, right? It's not just about stealing somebody, and as long as it says hidden in the middle of your screen, then you're good to go. In this game, if you steal something, even if no one caught you, they're most likely reasonably gonna deduct that it was you. And that's because you were in the area, you're the only outlier, you're usually the only one new to this location, right? All these other people been living here for, God knows how long, right? And just generally, stealthing is harder, which makes it more meaningful when you do things like wait until the night. It's more beneficial to wait until the night, not just from a, oh, it makes sense, I'm a thief, it makes more sense to steal in the night, but also because the game's mechanics push you towards and enforce you towards that mindset. It's that beautiful melding of making a fun game with fun gameplay that immerses you and makes you feel like what you're doing is believable in like a sense. Like for as immersive as the game is, it's still the kind of game that lets you press triangle and the horse spawns behind you, right? There's magic chess, right? For as immersive as the game is, for as realistic as it's trying to be, it's still a game where when you put stuff in a chest that's like in like a hideout type area, then all the chests that are in like a hideout, like it's all one chest, right? It's like you don't have to transfer all your items between multiple different chests, right? It's all just one magic chest. This is the most yap filled video I've ever made. I might not even post this video because I'm finding it really hard to ramble and yap about how good this game really is. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna title this video something like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is a unicorn game. You know, it's a special game. And that's because it really is. Like, I play this game and I feel the culmination of whatever work went into the first game that then transferred over into this game that was fueled from the passion or the desire that all started with a Kickstarter. You know, the first Kingdom Come Deliverance game was only made because they managed to do a Kickstarter and they reached the goal, right? I feel that in this game. Like sometimes, you know, I've been playing games a long time and I've never had the notion, oh, is gaming dying? You know, blah blah blah. But you know, sometimes it could be harder to play a game for a long amount of time, you know, rather than when I was a kid, right? Everyone feels like that. When I had this game over the weekend, when I told you I played it for 20 hours straight with no desire to stop, I mean that. And it's been a long time since a game has really made me feel like that. Like, I had to stop playing just because I needed to go to sleep. And when I was going to sleep, I was just thinking, damn, I wish I didn't have to go to sleep. I wish I could just keep playing this game. Because it really is, without a doubt, if there's anything you can take away from this very vapid and meaningless video, this is a one of a kind game. You need to play this game. If you like RPGs, you like fucking video games, period. I would say give it a shot. You know, even though it's a $70 game, you know, I'd pay $100 million for this fucking game. That's how much value I'm putting on this experience. Like, I literally didn't even talk about anything. I just yapped. I literally didn't talk, like, I didn't talk about how much choices you have, you know. But yeah, anyway, that's it. That's the video, and thank you for watching.